Well, studying architecture, that's I think when I was at school, I was good. It's a very simple answer actually. I was good at art and I was good at science. And I didn't know any architects. I had an uncle that lived in London, so I went to London quite a bit. And maybe the scale or the buildings there sort of mesmerised me subconsciously. I don't know, but in essence, I enjoyed arts, I enjoyed science, and architecture seemed to be a fantastic opportunity to just use the things I was good at. So that's how I sort of fell into it. But even then, in the mid-80s, Manchester was a really exciting place in a different sort of way today. But I remember coming here for my interview the first time and just being completely bowled over by the energy of the place, which I graduated in 1991 and practiced in the city ever since. So I also do some teaching at the university, and I'm really keen, through the teaching that I do, to lock into the sort of students and forge those links between academia and practice, because I think it's essential, particularly when architecture is a vocational course. Most students come to university because they want to become architects. I think it's really important that they're educated by the academics at university, but coupled with that and alongside that, they have access to and an understanding of the practices within Manchester and what practice is about. And Manchester is a great city. I think there's some really good practices in Manchester.
So how does it look like in your practice? Because there's so many heads, so many ideas, how do you get down to one solution at the end?
Well, in 3D Reid, we have a very simple system which we call the workshop process. And that recognises that not everybody has all of the answers to everything.
3D Reid, you've built a lot of different office buildings as well. So what indicators can you name for a perfect working environment?
I think the perfect working environment is one where you can accommodate change, flexibility, adaptability, and introduce a longevity and resilience to the building. Because we don't know what the workplace of the future is going to be like. We know what the workplace of today is, and we think we know what the workplace is going to be like next year, or the year after, or maybe 5 years. 10 years down the line, who knows? I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have smartphones or iPads. Those things have changed the way in which we work now. So offices can be different because of technology. At the end of the day, as an architect, you only have so much sway and power and influence. Your client ultimately dictates the nature of that building. They're employing you, they're paying you. It's very difficult for you to do anything that they don't want you to do. So most pieces of architecture are products both of the architect's skill, experience, but they're also a very dominant factor is the client's personality, their drive, their ambition, and what they want to get out of it as well. Some clients want a very modest piece of architecture. They want it to be extremely functional, perform very specific tasks, be delivered to a very specific budget, and as long as you give them the spatial qualities that they need for that to function for them, they're happy. But even if you've got a very minimal budget, sometimes those are the most tricky projects to work with, because it's really difficult to make something really special and really nice out of a limited budget. But it's not impossible. I used to have a tutor at university that I always remember he explained, architecture was like good cooking, and he said, some of the best Italian meals are just pasta and a sauce, and you don't have to have 20 different ingredients. It's just a couple of really good ingredients put together in a really nice way with the skill of a great chef, and you can have a wonderful meal. And I think there's some really nice projects where you can see that
In the daily life of an architect, filled with discussions, paperwork, and meetings, how do you find time for new inspiration and creativity?
Personally, most of that happens either early in the morning before people come into the office, or late at night when I'm home, and the kids have gone to bed, and the house is nice and quiet. It is difficult during the hustle and bustle of a typical day in the office to find those moments where you sort of pull things together in your mind. But we're all different, and that's just the way I work. I'm sure there are lots of people that manage to be, to have those moments by themselves in a very busy office. But for me, those moments tend to happen when I've got a little bit of peace and quiet and some solitude and some space around me. And it is difficult during the day because you've got an office full of people that you have to deal with and work with and sort problems out and send invoices out and make sure that other bits of paperwork are in place. And one thing that happens is as you do get older and more experienced, more of your day is taken up with managing an office rather than designing buildings or having those creative moments. So that's why for me it's important those early parts of the day or the late parts of the day when the hustle and bustle of the office has died down, that for me it tends to work best.
Do you have any good advice for architecture students?
When you're a student, you've really got to enjoy the time that you've got to try out new ideas, to experiment, to find yourself. But I think it's also important to have those ideas grounded in some degree of practicality and reality as well. Particularly more so now with the financial burdens that are put on students in terms of the cost of education. When you finish your education, you've got to make yourself attractive to potential employers. And practitioners are under an awful lot of pressure at the moment to get value for money out of their graduates and their recruits. So when you employ a new graduate, you need that person to be productive and to have fee earning potential almost immediately. And if you've managed to, whilst you're at university, to hone your creative skills so that you're a good designer, but also you have some knowledge, and we all accept that you're not going to come into practice knowing everything. That's just life. But some knowledge of practice, some knowledge of the practicalities of how buildings go together, coupled with great design skills. These aren't impossible combinations to have. I've seen recent graduates who've got them, and those are the sorts of graduates that we employ here. We're not necessarily looking for the best designer in the world. What we are looking for are rounded individuals who have the potential to grow.